Welcome to Mission Imperfect, the podcast about finding your own path, your own way, and embracing the imperfection of the journey.
We're your hosts, life coaches, former HR professionals, and mums, Kirsty and Catherine.
We love to discuss the topics that come up time and time again for our coaching clients and which affect us all, from things like acceptance and boundaries to values and well-being and everything in between.
Each episode ends with a question for you and us to reflect on. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to grab a cuppa and a biscuit and join us in getting lost in finding ourselves.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Mission Imperfect. Today we have an interesting topic for you. It is roots. So, not the hair type. Literally just popped into my head, and I thought, I don't think that's what Kirsty means, because I could talk about mine and be quite a bit of a sad episode, but no, that's not what you meant. So take it away, Kirsty. Tell us a little bit about the inspiration for this week's episode.
Yeah, I'm now wondering if we can pull, hair roots and the colour and everything into this episode. We'll have to see how we feel as we go along.
Yeah.
No, I didn't mean hair roots as such, but maybe there are metaphors to be used. This was actually inspired by a little bit of woodland I go through when I walk home from work. And I'm in South London. It's pretty urban, so this is a lovely little patch of woodland, and it's just so refreshing to go through it. But you get off the busy main road and you're just wandering through all the trees and that. And I was thinking about how sort of widely and deeply their roots might be reaching, and how they stretch so far down into the ground, and yet the whole tree then stretches so high into the sky. And also I'm trying not to trip over the roots, let's be honest about this. So they're very much on my mind as I walk through them. And I read somewhere that trees communicate with each other and support each other through their root networks, and that they can actually recognize other trees that are related to them in some way. I mean, how amazing is that? And that's all from their roots, which is the bit of the
Yeah.
tree that we don't really see or think about.
No, do you know what? I've heard that too. It's fascinating, and I've heard that they share resources through like a fungal network.
Yeah,
So they, if there's a tree that's poorly, they can send sort of, well, basically it's like first
yeah.
aid through their own kind of network. And I've you'll like this. It's called the woodwide web. Apparently, that's what the term that's been coined. Brilliant. But I just think how lovely is that? That because we forget, obviously then they are living, but not in the same sense as obviously like, humans and animals and perhaps communicating with us so easily. And yet they are communicating with each other. And in the same bit of information I read about this, there was a tree that had been cut down. And yet even, I think it was even years later, they realized it still had chlorophyll in it. And it's because it must have been being sent it from the other trees. Like they're still trying to, I don't know, keep it going. And I thought, oh gosh, is that a bit sad? You just feel quite
Yeah.
sad for the poor trees. But yeah, but how lovely that they have this support network.
Yeah, and all of this is going on, below ground where we don't see it, and unless we're tripping over the roots that do show above the ground, we rarely sort of think about it or are aware of it. And so anyway, that little walk that I have when I walk home from work, it just gave rise to a question. So I'm breaking with tradition, or our tradition. I'm going to use it as the discussion prompt as opposed to the question that comes at the end of the episode.
Dun.
Yeah, I mean, radical, huh? Radical. We
Yeah,
can
no,
do this. We can do this.
steady.
I'm a
Yeah,
little bit twitchy about
I'm
it.
still with you.
So the question that came up was, what does the idea of roots mean to you? And it can be hair roots if you want it to, Catherine.
No, I'm sorry. I feel really shallow that actually just for a moment that is what popped into my head. Like, oh God, do I need to get those done again? Depressing. But no, I'm not really going to stay there.
We'll move on, shall we?
Yeah.
But I used to think of the idea of roots as being about purely about sort of where we come from, the
Mm.
place, the family, the community, the circumstances that you grow up in. And I don't know you, but I came to find that a little bit claustrophobic, sort of limiting. And I think for a lot of people, it becomes something they either have to identify themselves with or overcome. So
Yes.
by the way,
Do you
look at it,
know
it's
what?
kind of a definition, isn't it? It's a box.
Well, funny you should say that because actually when you said that, the word that popped up for me, which is we've spoken about before, is the should. It's like
Mhm.
someone from this background does this. You
Yes.
should be doing, this is what we do, and that you have to follow the mold kind of thing. And that's
Yeah.
obviously we've spent quite a lot of time talking about, well, do you have
Mm.
to? And it can take a lot of bravery and courage to decide not to do that. But you have to be able to recognize that in the first place. Otherwise, you can find yourself just sort of on a bit of a path, can't you, of
Yeah.
expectations and should, and maybe that starts to a degree with a sense of your roots.
Mm. I think it often can. And I mean, that sense of it being kind of limiting. I mean, I grew up in the West Country, born and raised in Somerset. My grandparents and parents were all from Devon. Um, my grandparents, except during the war, never left Devon. My mother has spent most of her life in the West Country. My school holidays were all spent in the West Country. And so there's a sense in which I feel I should define myself as a West Country girl. But I've lived more than half my life in London. So, what does that actually mean?
Mm. That's so funny you should say that, because in our previous episode of I think we are the same person,
Yeah,
I am a West Country girl too. But it's funny, I actually don't ever use that term. I don't think so. I
yeah.
was born in Devon, grew up here, also moved away for a while to London peripheries, but I'm back. So this is interesting. So am I a returning Devonian? I don't know, but that's interesting because I don't think I spend a lot of time actually debating what that means for me. I think for me it's just like I chose to come back here, and I think that's the
Mm.
difference. For me, it was an active choice, and I haven't come back to exactly the same place. I am somewhere a little bit different. We have a slightly more connectivity to London and so on. But yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because we do have that real similarity in our background.
And it's, yeah, very, very often that sense of where we come from, and people will guard their accents quite carefully, and the kind of um oh my words have gone. That's not good for a podcast, is it? The local dialect, that sort of thing. The different words we use for different things. Like I was very confused when I left the West Country that nobody knew what daps were.
God,
Um,
now I'm horrified. Having said I am a West Country person, I have
yeah,
no idea what you're talking about.
maybe that's a more Somerset one then.
Okay.
Plimsolls,
Oh,
those black canvasy shoes you wore for PE at junior
yeah.
school. Yeah,
They,
daps.
you called them down. Oh, okay. I either have forgotten or it perhaps didn't reach as far as my neck of the woods.
I mean, it
I'll
does
I'll,
change.
I'll go with the latter.
But I mean, in Devonians and the people in Cornwall have different words they use for tourists, don't they? The Grockles and the Emmets. It's very
Yes, yeah.
different, just a few miles apart. So
Well,
yeah, all
let's
sorts of
not
different
start.
terminology.
I know. Let's not start talking about cream teas and getting people up in arms over what
No,
comes
we
first.
are
Is it
not.
a scone? Is it a scone? Anyway, let's
That
we'll
that would be
be.
a very long episode, wouldn't it? A
It
very
would.
long
It would. So let's go
Yes.
back to this idea of
Yeah.
roots.
Roots. But and then they consider that idea of roots, being about where you've come from, how you grew up, where you started, that can suggest a real lack of movement. For me, it started to give me a feeling of being stuck. And exactly what
Mm,
you were saying before about this idea of being unable to move from where you start. You've got to conform to the expectations of somebody who was born and raised in that area, from that sort of family and that kind of community, whatever it is. And that feels, as I said before, very claustrophobic and limiting to me. See, there go my words again. I can't think of them. I can't say them. It's going well so far.
We'll power through, Kirsty. It's okay.
And I mean, having said, or at least tried to say all that about not really getting the idea of roots, not liking it, the aspect in which I do get them is that sense of being able to find comfort in familiarity and connection, and in shared familiarity as well, much like we were just doing, talking about, that shared sense of where we've come from and where we've grown up,
Mm.
and the things that you share with family that nobody else gets. And that can really be a nice warm cozy feeling, can't it, when you encounter somebody who understands the same things as you do in the same way that you do. But in going back to the trees again, for me, that feels more like the network of roots than just my roots.
Yeah,
So yeah, that idea of comfort and familiarity, returning to a place that you used to live in or visit regularly. It's when you're overseas and you find something like a fast food outlet or a coffee shop that you recognise from home, that sense of the known. When you watch your favourite programme that you've seen before, an episode of Friends or whatever it is, or you read your favourite book, it's that kind of roots you into the known and the familiar and the comfortable, doesn't it? There's
yeah.
reassurance in it. And again, when you bump into people who've lived in the same place as you, who've been to the same school, who know the same people, visited the same shops, whatever, there is a connection there, and it's a really sort of lovely, reassuring thing. Um, about shared experiences as well. Whether it's the big stuff like parenthood, divorce, bereavement, or even the smaller things. Having been fashion victims in the same era. 80s people recognize each other through the sad history of the perm. Um,
Or shell suit. Did you have? Was that more 90s or was that
That's a bit
80s?
more 90s, I think, wasn't it?
Or
The shell.
was it? I know they featured what weird outfits they were. What weird material? What was that? I mean, you know,
I rest my case.
yeah. I'm not digging out any photos. Let's just put it that way.
Oh, go on.
Yeah. Sorry. Well, you have to dig out your perm. I'd have to see
Oh,
it.
there are so many of the perm, honestly. It's embarrassing. Anyway, moving on there. So that kind of shared experience, enjoying the same music or books or films, enjoying the same crafts, supporting the same teams, that's a big one, isn't it? People who have
Mm,
nothing in
definitely.
common apart from the shared love of the same football team. That's hugely bonding for people. So in that sense, roots are that idea of roots is really nice, isn't it? But very
Yeah. I think
reassuring.
as long as as long as it's doesn't become that kind of restrictive sense, I think you can maybe take them with you. That's the idea. So not
Mm.
quite like the tree in that sense, because the tree is very much, where it is. There's not a lot it can do about that. But this idea of maybe you can take it with you, it sort of reminds me of what we've talked about before with values, the bits that sort of really matter.
Yeah.
But things that matter to us are also things that do give us that sort of comfort and reassurance and familiarity as well. But it just not exhaustively, I think that's what's important. Like there's still wherever we go, that bit of West Country probably with us, isn't it? So no matter where we are.
The cream, yes. But I guess when you were saying that, I was thinking about the idea of, if you are a leaf on the topmost branch of the tree, it's like you've still got that connection to the roots,
Mm.
many meters down potentially, so far apart that you don't seem to have any connection, and yet you do. There's that those roots are what have allowed you to go further away.
Oh yeah. Oh, very good point.
Oh yeah. That's a bit more comfortable, I think, than a walking tree taking its roots with it.
Yeah. Like,
Struggling a bit with that one.
right, I'm packing my bags and going. Come on,
I've had enough.
Roots.
Off we go. Yes, where were we? Roots. So I think that idea there, the tree, the roots that allow the tree to grow so tall and for bits of the tree to get so far away from where it started, that's really helped me rethink my idea of roots as restrictive. They're
Mm.
they're what allow you to grow. Trees are not free to roam about, um, but their roots do spread really widely and deeply in ways that we can only really imagine, going back to that whole communication network. And without those roots, the tree wouldn't be able to grow as it does, to be as impressive as they are, and wouldn't be able to spread so wide. So that yeah, it's that idea of stability. The roots give me the stability I need in order to be able to go further.
Yeah.
And that rootedness is not into my past, not into something static, but like that, but it's into my sense of who I am. think that's where my idea of roots has got to now, that it's about rooting into my sense of myself, not into my sense of where I've come from or where I live or who I'm
Yeah,
related to.
yeah, I like that. To me, it's oh,
Ooh, bit
tech
of a
malfunction.
microphone issue there.
I knew that was going to happen today because I'm in a different place. I thought the microphone's going to be rogue. Never mind, gloss over it.
See, if it
What
had
people
better roots, that wouldn't have happened.
I know, yeah, flimsy roots. The thing that came up for me then was a bit around anchoring.
Mm.
So, as much as a bit like, for a ship, it's roots, if you like, I suppose is like the anchor, isn't it? But the sense I have was it's something that is like an important guiding and safe area. And like you said, it doesn't have to include all those things of specifically where you came from, where you lived, that kind of thing. It can be the things that matter and that sense of who you are. So I think of it a bit like a sort of mobile anchor, like a bit like values, like we've spoken about as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, values is our roots. I like that. And a mobile anchor. Yeah, I'm going to need to unpick that one a little bit, I think. A mobile anchor.
It's only because I've got images of walking trees and
Yes.
like an anchor in my pocket and all sorts. I just think I might have lost the plot slightly on this one, Kirsty.
Walking trees, swinging mobile anchors as they go. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is getting a little bit surreal. Only
Bit
a little
trippy.
bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Particularly as we haven't even mentioned biscuits yet. So that's
No,
particularly
I'm
something.
afraid I can't find a connection between roots, anchors, and biscuits. It's just not coming to me.
No, it's worrying, isn't it? Worrying.
Yeah. It'll come to us afterwards. We'll have to pop it in the notes or something. But it's going to be very tenuous, I think, if we find one.
Whereas usually they're much more firmly rooted in
Yes, they are. There we go.
musical
Rooted in the
metaphors, much more
discussion.
firmly
Biscuits.
rooted. But yeah, that idea that our roots as anchors and how our values tie into that and tie into our sense of self, about what's going on below the surface. It's
Mm.
very often, certainly in sort of self-development terms, spirituality, whatever, there is talk of your higher self. And yet I've often found that in in meditation, when I actually sort of able to let go of thoughts a bit and get that nice kind of release, it feels like I'm going beneath the surface of the thoughts, going deeper. So that is, it almost feels like the opposite of that idea of connecting to a higher self. I feel I'm going below to
Your
connect
lower
with
self.
my sense of self. Yeah, definitely a lower self. I like that. Yeah, if there's a higher self, there's got to be a lower self, right? Uh,
Interesting.
there's a concept to play with, along with the walking trees swinging their mobile anchors
Yes. Yes.
and their lower selves.
Well, it's all this talk about the thing that first, when you first said that we would perhaps talk about this for an episode, the first thing I literally thought of is that my logo has I really love it. It's a very beautiful but simple representation of a tree.
Yeah.
So it's very it's very round in its picture, and it's got the all the branches above the ground and the main trunk, obviously, and then the roots underneath, which are just as big as the bit that you do see. And
Mm.
and the reason I chose it is something I learnt very early on in my coaching journey when a professor was explaining about it's called the PBT model: perceptions, behavior, and thinking. And the tree, the bit that you can see, is a representative of the behavior. It's the visible part. You see it. It's what we demonstrate. It's what people will judge us by and make assumptions about us from. But
Mm.
actually, just as important are the roots below the ground, which is where our is represented by our thinking and our perceptions. And I really liked it because I thought actually they're just important. They take up as much space because I think, probably from those trip hazards you've come across, Kirsty, you've probably found them
Mhm.
they're a long way away, aren't they, from the main trunk of the tree. You probably didn't think you were going to trip over it all the way over there, but they are that big underneath the ground. Um, and the roots are sort of feeding and nurturing the tree and holding it in place. And of course, that makes sense if you think about our behavior is going to be
Yeah.
representative of what we are thinking and feeling and our view of our place in the world. So I really liked that kind of metaphor. So it's why I chose it
No, that's
for my
lovely. Yeah. And another indication of us being the same person, my initial logo was also a tree. There you
did
go.
it have a swinging anchor and could it walk? There you go.
Obviously, yes.
Probably not.
It had a lower self as well.
Yeah.
This could be, we have the shadow self, the higher self, all these things. I think there is room in the market for more on the lower self. I think we need to tap into this.
Interesting.
So yes, roots. The question was, what does the idea of roots mean to you? And I think I would sum it up for me is it's about my sense of self, both as an individual and as part of a greater whole. And the better I understand myself and what truly matters to me, the stronger my roots are and the more I can grow. Maybe one
Yeah.
day becoming a walking tree with a swinging anchor.
Mm, like it. So, do we have some quotes? Even though we're going a bit back to front this week, but we still
Always
got
a
to have some
quote.
quotes in there.
Always a quote. This one I like because I didn't know the origin of this quote, and I kind of knew the first part of it, but not the rest. And
Okay.
all that is gold does not glitter. Not all those who wander are lost. The old that is strong does not wither. Deep roots are not reached by the frost. And that's from J.R.R. Tolkien.
Wow.
And I'd known
I've
bits of
seen all
that.
of that. Yeah. Is the especially the not all those who wander are lost. I think that's a
Yes.
really well used phrase now, isn't it? But I did not know it was him.
And that idea that, deep roots are not reached by the frost, that
Mm.
they are that strong and they're what holds everything up, and in spite of the difficulties of what's going on around, whatever happens to you, they can survive and be strong. I think that's really rather lovely.
Yeah, absolutely. I like it. Let's share another one. This one I particularly like. I'm sure this one means a lot to you, Kirsty. Is roots are not in a landscape or a country or a people. They are inside you. And that's
Mhm.
Isabel Allende. I hope I've said that correctly.
It's lovely, isn't it? As
Although we
always
have
with
spent
these quotes, we could just use the quote at the beginning and have done, this is a
no,
thing
but then
to have to
we
listen.
wouldn't have been speaking about trees quite so much, would we? Because we have been talking about the trees in the countryside and their wood wide web. I'm sure people are going to enjoy that as well as the image of them walking around with their they don't need them. They've got their roots. I don't know what I was
It
thinking
would have
with
been
the
a shame to miss that. You're quite right.
yeah. The anchor was for the ships because bless them, they don't have roots. They have to move around, so they have to take their portable roots. There you go. Their portable roots is their anchor with them.
Portable roots. Hmm. Wonder if you could have a tree on a ship. Probably not. Bonsai tree.
Oh, don't get bonsai trees. Have you tried to grow one?
Yes.
I know this is a bit of a tangent, but I have not had any joy, even when I thought I've cracked it and it's doing quite well. It will
No.
throw in the towel a week later, and I'm like, what did I do? What did I do wrong? I really don't know what I did wrong. And it's like, no, I've decided that you are not a worthy owner, and I'm going to snuff it. And it doesn't seem to matter what I do. So it's very saddening when that happens.
Maybe when they're little boats like that, they're missing having their communication network. Their roots can't talk to each other.
Yeah, maybe I should have planted it outside. I don't know.
Who
Oh well,
knows?
too late now.
Mine didn't do well either, just for the record. Anyway, on which note, the question is a reminder, what do roots mean to you? And that's it from us for this week. Hopefully
Yep,
we'll see you, or you'll hear us, one or the other, something like that, next week.
sounds about right.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Mission Imperfect.
Please visit the show notes for details on how to contact us and for any resources we may have on the topic discussed.
Until next time, keep being imperfectly you. No one does it better.